What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have a special guest in here. He's not really a special guest. He's a fucking asshole. He's my co-host on My Brother's Keeper. He's my brother, JB. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, fellow asshole? What's going on, everybody? Yes, it is I, the prodigal one, JB. Glad to be here.
Man, so I asked you to join this conversation, and for a few reasons, right? Because we rarely talk about the men's side of fatphobia, body dysmorphia, fat shaming. It's really focused on the women, and I understand why. But at the same time, there is a whole aspect of this that does affect men, and not everyone is open to have this conversation. So it's like, what better person than to have it with my brother Jay?
Absolutely. And, obviously it's when you're talking about things like appearances and body shaming, it's more associated with women, which is really sad to say, but it's the truth. But it's good sometimes, and that's the great thing with these platforms, that we can do something like this, because honestly, I would never sit down with one of my boys or even my actual brother, or even someone I'm very close with, and be like, oh, you know what, like, damn, man, I gained 20 pounds and blah blah blah. I wouldn't. That's not something guys discuss, really.
Yeah, for sure, and it's a problem, and that's why we suffer in silence in a way, and it's self-imposed. Let's make sure that I'm saying, stop. It's self-imposed, because it's like we feel like we can't open up. Like, we'll call and talk to each other about damn near anything, but it's like if we're suffering from something that's mentally causing a stressor, it's like, I don't want to. What I'm going to do is say, hey, look, my fucking love handles are getting on my nerves. Like, we don't have that conversation, and that's something that women are more apt to talk to each other about. Women get naked in front of each other, so they'll openly have conversations about their body. Not all, but I know they're more likely to do it than us. But it's good that hopefully we can break some barriers down and just know that it's okay to have these thoughts. It's okay to talk about them, and ultimately it's okay to just admit that you're not happy with where you are and that you're dealing with being fat shamed, because nobody should be made to feel a way about the way that they look. All you can do is try to do as much as you can about it. And, some of those issues aren't ones that are completely self-imposed on yourself. So go ahead. What do you think about, like, overall the idea of, like, men dealing with fat shaming? Like, for people who are, like, jumping into this conversation, what do you think about?
I think it's something that definitely has to take a forefront. Men, for the longest time, since probably the beginning of time, have always been ones to not be able to express feelings. And this goes for myself as well. And I think it goes to a lot of men. And, just to kind of piggyback off of things you said in previous episodes of The Awakened Soul, like, you talked about depression a lot. That's something that a lot of men won't necessarily discuss for whatever reason. And so I wouldn't say depression and fat shaming are the same exact thing, but they're both equally important, I would say. But a lot of these things, men just have a hard time coming on emotions. One of the two main reasons I agreed to do this, number one is, you're my brother. I can talk to you about anything. I have no problem. But more importantly than that, I wanted to talk about this because I know there's at least one of your listeners that might be in the same boat that I am or was in, or something like that. And I want them to know that it is okay to speak about it. It is okay to go to one of your boys. It is okay that you're not the only one in this boat. Men go through this as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that's often forgot about and seen. So one of the things, just to kind of set the tone, I found a statement that I want to discuss first and say, and we can talk about it and see where the conversation goes from there. But it's, to be a fat man in America is to be seen as essentially unserious. What do you think about that, JB?
So I think that statement is 100% false, but that statement being said is 100% true. What I mean by that is, just because someone is overweight, there could be so many underlying issues. They could have an eating disorder. They can have thyroid issues, a ton of different things. That statement, though, is unfortunately said by a ton of people. It's been said to me all the time, like, oh, how could you let yourself go? When I was younger, I was pretty athletic. I was obviously not as heavy set as I am now. And, I see people who I haven't seen in a while, like, oh my God, what happened to you? Blah, 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 et cetera. So it is a statement that gets thrown around pretty easily, but it shouldn't be. And a lot of statements shouldn't be thrown around. For me, I have thicker skin than most. It takes a lot to really irk me, but I know there are others out there that may not necessarily be in that same category. So I hate when people do stuff like that, because you never know what you're saying might actually hurt somebody and how it may negatively impact them as well.
That's a fact. We often don't know like the results of our words, and you know, you said it there. People have thyroid issues. People have eating disorders, and I think for many people, they see somebody who's heavier set. They see somebody who's fat, overweight, whatever you want to call it, and their thought is, well, why don't they work out? Why don't they take their health more seriously? There are some people who legit can't stop gaining weight, not because they're eating an overabundance, but because, like you said, a thyroid issue, or they have this mental thing where they have eating disorders. Like, there's so much more that goes into it, and as a society, it's like we try to so identify somebody by their body size initially. It's like, and I get it, you know, first impressions, and you first see someone and these thoughts go through your head or whatever, but we never stop and think, well, what is that person going through to where they got to this point?
Yeah, I mean, no one ever thinks about what led to this. They always think about the immediate, like, oh, what are you not doing? What are you not doing? So, again, it's a really unfortunate thing, but you know, it's something that happens, and I think it's gonna happen forever. I don't think that's ever gonna change. It's just something that you kind of have to live with.
Definitely. What's something that you saw, or that you've experienced as far as like being either judged for your weight without people getting to know you, going through being fat shamed, going through just anything that you have with like your going through your journey? Go ahead with
So there's two kind of big things I really want to talk about here. The first one really has nothing to do with fat shaming. Maybe it does. Maybe it's me fat shaming myself. If I put it that way. And it was me, my wife, and I don't even know if we were married at the time. We were just engaged. I really don't remember. She'll kill me for that. But and it was her cousin and her cousin's boyfriend at the time. We went to Busch Gardens in Tampa. And I'm a huge, for anyone who knows me, I'm a huge like adrenaline junkie, or I used to be. I love roller coasters and all, you know, crazy shit. Just get my adrenaline pumping. However, due to my size now, I can't really ride roller coasters as much as I used to because, well, mainly because I can't fit, but I don't even know sometimes if I can fit or not. And the reason why I don't know, it has to do with the story. We basically went to Busch Gardens. I wanted my first roller coaster. It was such a tight fit. I remember we finished the ride, and after we were done, the ride got stuck. We were already completed, but something went wrong, or there was some kind of malfunction. And I remember I was so uncomfortable, and I started like almost hyperventilating because I was like, I'm stuck, but I really had like no room. It was such a tight fit. Anyway, I ignored that, got off everything. We went on the second ride. Now, when we go on the second roller coaster, I tried to sit, and this time the buckle wouldn't come down. It's one of those overhead, gimmicks where you have to kind of seatbelt, and it just wasn't closing. Now, I also did have like a hoodie on at the time, and I had jeans on, et cetera, but it just wouldn't close. And the guy kept on trying and trying and trying. It just would not close, to the point where they're like, sir, I'm sorry, it's not closing. And then I myself, obviously, I got up, and I never probably felt so embarrassed in my life. I got up and I did that walk of shame where I had to be like, okay, it's okay, do the ride. I'm obviously too big for the ride. And for the rest of the day and for the rest of my life since, I have not even attempted to go out on one roller coaster. Even though when me and my wife go to we've been to theme parks, we've been to Disney a lot of times since, I will spend hours upon hours the day before researching, going on like fat sites of like, hey, I visited Epcot, I visited such and such. These are the rides that you're easy to be able to fit in. These are the rides that'll be kind of a tight fit. And even the ones that they say they're easy, I always remember that Busch Gardens story, so I will not even make an attempt.
That's something like I want to make it clear. I often talk about me being heavier, right? The biggest I ever was, I think, was 295. Maybe it was 298. I think it may have been 298, 295, somewhere between there. But even then, like, my experience is very limited compared to others, and that's a story, bro. I can honestly tell you, like, that shit would have traumatized me. So the fact, like, don't feel ashamed or whatever. And I thank you for sharing that story because, like, bro, like, I could never imagine what that did, especially like you said, you called it the walk of shame. And those people may have not all been looking at you, but I'm damn sure I can guarantee it felt like they were all looking at you at that moment.
Yeah, I was so embarrassed, and especially like to have this take something I truly loved. Like roller coasters is my thing, man. I'm that guy that like I'll ride a roller coaster 5 times in a row just because I like it. I was that guy,
Yeah.
and I felt like it kind of took it away from me. And yeah, it's a walk of shame, even though maybe just a couple people were noticed because I was always also in the back. So not that many people even realized because I was, closer to the back. But at that moment, it felt like all eyes were on me. And, obviously my wife and her cousin and everything was supportive. They're like, oh, let's get on the next one. It could have just been how you sat. But at that point, I was done. I just had zero interest to even attempt to do that again because I just didn't want to have that feeling. And I've always had tremendous confidence regardless of the fact that I'm a big guy. And you talk about your weight. At my highest I was at 375 and I dropped to 325. I was doing some different things, eating right, and I dropped to 325. But since COVID and everything, I got back up. I'm probably like around 350. But after this whole holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, I'm gonna get back on my grind again.
Definitely. How have you noticed? And first, let's say, because I don't want to get in trouble. We all know I want no smoke with SEMA. None. Shout out to my beautiful sister-in-law. But how did your weight affect your dating life? Like, what did you notice before, pre JB gaining weight to the point now? Well, before you got married, because you're not dating now, except my sister SEMA. Again, I want no smoke.
Thank you for that disclaimer. That just saved me a couple minutes of argument.
Thank
coming.
you.
Probably would have been
Exactly. No smoke with SEMA at all. Listen, I'll be out there in January, and the last thing I want to do is wake up and see me being like, yeah, I need you to explain this shit to me. We don't need those problems. But no, all jokes aside, how have you found that it did affect your confidence in dating? Like I said, how it changed before and after. Go ahead.
So most of my dating, I was between like, I would say 135, 140, and 160. In between that, I was never like heavy set until like in my mid 20s and stuff. So, so I, just normal dating, just dating girls, and things were fine. And, inside our, like, I'm Guyanese and we have like a circle. So, we're like kind of everybody knows everybody sort of thing in South Florida where I used to live. So, I was, sort of in circle. Everybody is really, if you're Guyanese, so everybody knows everybody and everything was sort of fine. As I gained weight, I still didn't have any issues finding girlfriends or anything like that. I still got girlfriends. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there was girls that turned me down probably because of my weight. Like, we would talk and it would never really go anywhere, or they just didn't give me the time of the day. But I was the one I was always one of those guys that like, if you turn me down, I really don't give a damn. On to the next. My confidence level was like on a 1 to 10. My confidence level was like a 200 back then. I was a very cocky individual. So even when I got up in weight, it didn't matter. I'm like, hey, if you don't want me, that's your loss. Like, you fucked up. So I never had problems like with girls or anything. But I will say, I always, once I started gaining weight, I still had that. Even though not one girl ever mentioned anything about my weight, I still had that in the back of my head. So when I was intimate with girls, for example, I never, ever took off my shirt. My wife is one of maybe only 2 people that ever saw me without a shirt on after I gained the weight. Even going to the beach, I would never take off my shirt. I would always wear like a tank top, a shirt, never take off my shirt completely. Only because I had in the back of my head, like, I'm a big guy and blah, blah, blah. I kind of felt a type of way. So, yeah, I mean, never really had any issues. Now, just fast forwarding here, I actually met my wife when I was skinny. We met each other. We didn't date, but the first time we met each other, I like and started talking and everything as friends. I wasn't as big as I am now. And later, after we reconnected and started like taking it serious, like this is years later, maybe 4, 5, 6. I don't even know how many years later. I was like probably close to double my size, but she never once ever said like, "Oh, what happened to you? You got fat or not?" She always remembered me for who I was, and we just kind of continued down that way. And you know, earlier you're talking about like shaming and stuff like that. I never been body shamed per se. I told the story of Bush Gardens. The other thing that really hit very close to home was there was a girl I used to date, and we didn't date for a long time, maybe I don't know, 6 months, if that, 4 6 months, something like that. But we definitely did date. And I remember a mutual friend of ours, somehow he got into the conversation of like who she used to date within the circle and stuff. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you used to date like Java or whatever." And I was like, and the girl was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, you used to date Javin." And she was like, "No, I didn't." Well, and she damn well knows she dated my ass. But I think the reason why she denied it and continuously denied it when he was like, "Well, hold up." He said, "Y'all dated for a couple months, blah, 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 blah." She denied it, I'm pretty sure, because she probably didn't want to be affiliated like, "Oh man, I dated that guy, that fat guy." Like, no, 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 no. Because obviously when we dated, I wasn't as big as I was, obviously. So I remember when he told me that, I kind of felt like really crushed. Like crushed my whole world, actually. Like, I want nothing to do with you. I ain't trying to date you, but the fact that you're going to the extent of saying we never even dated, that's how ashamed you are to even be associated with me, which is just nuts. And I ended up talking to her after the fact, like, I don't know how long after the fact. I'm like, "Why did you lie?" And she's like, "Oh, I never told him that, but she did, because the dude who told me wouldn't lie. It's someone I know really well."
Okay, so we have to, because I know people are going to listen. Women are going to be asking this. We're men,
Yeah.
right? We're men on here. The Waking Soul is a place of honesty. It's a place of not being judged. Have you ever fat shamed a woman or done what that woman did to you as far as denying being before you gained the weight or whatever of a more heavy set woman?
I've never to anyone's face fat shamed them, but 100% I've not talked to girls or given them a chance because of their weight. And this is before the weight gain, during the weight gain, and after the weight gain. Even as a fat guy, I was like, hell no, I ain't dating her. It could have been the nicest person in the world. Could have even been someone beautiful, because people don't get it twisted. Fat people can be beautiful as well. You know, fat people can be handsome as well. So they could be beautiful, but just because I cared about everybody's else perception, which is so disgusting for me to say, because those people throughout my life that didn't give that, if they would have felt that way towards me, they wouldn't have got to see what the type of person I am and how nice I am, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I did it to a lot of females, and you know, that's one of the regrets that I have, even if not dating, but I would just even get a chance to know somebody, even as on a friendship level, I just would, you know, shoot it down. Obviously, when I got older, none of that stuff mattered, but I'm talking about like, you know, kind of that sweet spot when you're sort of in your peak 25 to 30, 25 to 32. I was having literally none of that. And even maybe the one or two girls that I did hook up with that were heavier set. And I'm not talking about like bloated. I'm talking about like 180, like that, 190, maybe 200. And that I did hook up with them. We never did anything in public. Never went on a date. Never went to the movies, a restaurant. It was always behind closed doors. Never told anybody I was talking to them. As a matter of fact, I'll just tell a quick story. I'm West Indian, and for those who are West Indian, you know, there's always like carnivals every year. There's like in Orlando and Canada, etc. I remember going to Orlando Carnival one year, and I was there with a couple of cousins, my brother, and my uncle. And there was a girl I was talking to at the time. She was heavier set, and we never, again, nothing public, nothing outdoors, just all behind closed doors. And I remember she saw me and she came up to me, and I acted like I didn't know her because my family and family and friends were there. I acted like I didn't know her, and she's like, "Hey," she's like, "Oh, can we talk?" So I walked away. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "Oh, you know, I didn't know you were coming." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'm just hanging out with my cousins." And she's like, "Oh, you wanna go dance, or you wanna go hang out, go get a drink, whatever?" I was like, "I'll hit you up. I'll look for you later." I went back and told my cousins, like, "Who's that?" I was like, "I have no idea." Like, she thought I was somebody else, and she came back later. And when she came back later, I wouldn't even look at her. She was literally with us, standing with us, maybe 6, 7 of us. I did not even look in her direction or say a word. And I think she got the picture, and she just walked away. Until this day, I've never spoken to her again. She never called me. I texted her, and nothing, zero.
Jesus, bro. I mean, but that's honesty, right? I think that shows the growth. And you know, for anyone who's listening to the story and trying to judge, or if you're starting to, I can tell you right now, JB is one of the
was
nicest
an asshole.
I mean, everybody made
Right.
mistakes, and this platform, I created the Awakened Soul to be honest about stuff like that. There are things that I've done that I have had to be honest about that I've grown from, and that's part of the reason why I don't like cancel culture because if you were to have tweeted that, right, if you were to have tweeted something about fat people 10 years ago, and then you're on this podcast talking about fat shaming, talking about anything positive with it, they would have tried to cancel you, right? But the people grow, they change, they go through something, and they realize the error in their ways. Because there definitely were, especially in high school, there were bigger women that I probably messed with in high school that I would have never let get out to the light of day. And now I look back at that, like I'm one of the people I say now all the time, be comfortable in what you do. If you have to hide what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it, right? So the fact that you shared that story isn't something that people need to judge you by or judge your actions for that time in place, but it shows the growth that people can go through, right? Because your whole mindset has changed now.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I really tell that story and have no shame not that I don't have no shame, but I want it to be in the forefront is because if you are one of these people who are like me, don't do it. Just don't do it. Like, remember the other person. You don't close doors. You never know what's out there. Again, I'm not saying you have to be romantically involved with every person you meet, but that person that you're shutting out, that may be your new best friend. That may be someone that helps you out when you're in a bind. That person later on down the road could be someone that saves your life. You just never know. Why close opportunities to meet someone just because of how they look or just because of insecurities you have? And at the end of the day, it was 100% insecurities I have. I'm like, I'm fat already. How am I gonna date another girl that's fat? How is that gonna look? You know what I mean? So that it was just insecurities, and I think it was America's Got Talent. There was this guy on America's Got Talent, and I think he ended up winning the show. I really forget the kid's name, but he had a stutter and he was a comedian. I don't know if you ever heard of the guy. I forgot the guy's name is. I'm pretty sure he won the season, and he had a stutter, and he talked about he was like a younger guy that played baseball and he got hit in the throat by a baseball, and he's telling his story during the video package, and he's like, it really makes me sad because the guy I was back then would have never hung out with the guy who I am now. And when he said that, even now I'm getting goosebumps because that was kind of like me. Like, the JB back then would never hang out with a girl of me now. Guys is different. I don't give a shit about guys, but girls, never in a million years would I have done it in public, which is such an asshole thing to say, but I'm being 100% transparent.
I mean, that's a great story. I mean, and it's true. I don't think if most people were honest about their old actions or whatever, they would be saying that same thing, because we've all done and said shit that, if we were on the other side of it, it would be like, fuck that person. For real. And once you come to that realization, you can actually start growing and you start seeing your actions change. So that was a great story right there, JB. And I think
this has been a presentation of the Break Media.